first. I'm getting me a coffee together and whoever a few minutes, seconds, whatever to get up here. No, I'm so quiet. Like I said again, because I'm giving whoever a few minutes to get up here, whoever wants to get up here. I really wanted to reshare this testimony because I wasn't even paying attention and was just like talking about my address and stuff because I was waiting on a mail person and um, you know, I wasn't really thinking because I was just telling my testimony and um, when I had asked the mail person something about, do you got a package for this address? And I didn't think I'm like literally live and whoever could have, I don't know. So, anyways, also during that, it was literally like distractions. I was really distracted. I was waiting on my new Bible. And so I literally just want to just redo the whole thing. So right now I'm fixing me a cup of coffee. Like I said, I'm waiting for if someone decides they want to get up here. And then um, I'm going to start. And if not, then I'm going to start anyways. So, all right. Oh, my face is itching. All right. Let me get this set up. All right. Let me get something situated over here with my kitchen table and get you guys set up. Okay. Hey, how's your morning going? Mine's going good. Um, I was waiting for if anyone wanted to get up here so I could reshare my witchcraft testimony, and also when I went to go share it um, the day before yesterday. It was just so many distractions. I was waiting on my Bible and I was like, hey, I could do this live while I'm waiting. The mail person probably won't be here for like an hour. And it was just whatever. So, anyways, oh, thanks so much. And I'm excited. I want to hear other people's testimonies and stuff too. You know, Jesus gives us all amazing things to share. So it's really cool to always like hear this stuff. Um, but anyways, I'm gonna jump right into this. Last time I want to go share the witchcraft testimony. The purpose or the reason why I want to go share it was because I had someone comment and be like, how can someone be so deceived into thinking that Satan would actually have for them? And so I was like, man, the deception of these demon powers and the stuff that you come under and the stuff that you experience is so, I mean, it's real. You're really experiencing these things. And when you get into witchcraft, and even if you're not into witchcraft, the level of demon powers and what it can do, what they can do to your mind when you open yourself up to them and do to your life and stuff, it's very real. So even though it's deception, it's you're still really experiencing these things. And this is why people are like, stand firm on it. And they're like, no, this is real. I know, because they have a experience with it. And so they haven't been pulled away or been brought out of it to see that to be an outsider looking in, to see the other side of it, to see that it's not real, that these demons, the things that they're manipulating your mind. And so I'm gonna specifically point out certain things when I go to tell the witchcraft thing. I want the Lord last time wanted me to tell you guys right before I tell that what He showed me about the demons of unbelief. It's literally unbelief is produced from demons, and I experienced this during a time the Lord had me fasting and living in fasting, going without food and water at this point. So I would go like a day and a half or 2 days not eating or drinking anything, and that was hard for me. Okay, and I did that for a couple months, and then I would fall, and then the only thing I could eat was like an apple or a piece of celery or something, and like I would take like one bite of an apple, a sip of water, and then he'd like, now put it down and fast another like 2 or 3 days, and I would literally cry. Sometimes it would be so hard because crucifying the flesh and stuff, and then these demons would attack me, and that's why I would cry and get all upset, and then it would lift. I'm like, that was a demon that was attacking me on level while I was crying and getting so upset, and then I'll feel fine. I'm like, Lord, please forgive me for getting so upset, and then I would just keep going. So anyways, I'd really gotten to the spirit at that time, which is why I can see good in the spirit now, because Jesus brought me into that place. And once He brings you into that place through fasting, He literally kicks the door open to the spirit realm. And even when you don't fast, you'll still be able to see into it, but it magnifies when you do fast. Okay. So fasting is not an option in a Christian walk if you want to know reality and experience this stuff. So you got to enter in, and the Lord will lead you and He'll help you and whatever. So anyways, I'm not going to get into all that. The unbelief. I was at work one day during that time, and then all of a sudden I felt the Lord leave me. Like I could see, like even now I could see that He's in the room with me. His presence is like, it's literally like I can see Him in the room with me right now. And seeing in the spirit, I can look directly at you and see around me and stuff. You're not limited in the spirit. Okay, so He's here, right? So that was gone. He removed Himself. And when He did, all of a sudden, my whole perception, my thoughts, everything was getting flooded with, is God even real? Like, this is crazy. Like, were you just tripping the whole time? He showed you all these things and you're experiencing these things. And I mean, I was like totally just got hit with this. And it wasn't like I didn't feel a spirit. I didn't see a demon come at me, nothing like that. It was just 1 minute He's there and the next minute He's gone. He had totally separated Himself from me. So I thought. And I was like, I mean, all these atheist thoughts were going through my mind. And I felt like the way that they feel going day to day with their minds separated from God. So even though He's still there, their minds are separated from Him because of the demons, okay, and the demon powers. So this is the level of deception that these demon powers can put you under. They will saturate your whole perception, like you're sitting here now, okay, and you can see all in the room with you. You can see, like this is reality, like what's around you, right? Okay, well, they can alter that. And so I was like, is this even real? And I was like, you know what? I was like, I guess I'm just going to go to hell trying to serve you with all that I am then. And that's what I said. So I knew these wasn't my thoughts because I was like questioning them. That means that it wasn't me. Okay. If you're against it and you're questioning it, that's you. And what you're experiencing is not you. When you're against something in your mind, then there's an opposing force. Okay. But at the time, I didn't know that wisdom. I was just like, what is this? And I just stuck through. And I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to choose God. Like, even if I feel and look like this is crazy right now, like, I'm still going to choose Jesus. And then the next thing I know, the Lord just flooded me back with His presence. He said, this is the type of attack that hits my church. He said, people will come to church and they'll, get a good feeling of me, like they'll experience me and stuff. And He was like, but I tell people to abide in me, to abide in my word, to keep that going, to build on that. And people don't know that. The church isn't I don't want to say the church. A lot of churches that Satan has infiltrated, they don't know this wisdom. And so these people, if they don't know, the congregation ain't gonna know, so they're gonna leave and go right back to the world. And this is why that feeling withers. And Jesus said, if you don't abide in me, you'll wither. And that's why that withers away. Okay. And I'll go into that more in detail because I got all the explanations for all that because I saw it in spirit, whatever. But anyways, and he said, this is the level that these demons will attack my church with. And they'll be like, oh, well, was that even real? And then they end up walking right back to the same thing they were doing and stuff because of a lack of knowledge and understanding. And so, and then the Lord showed me, because he had me question, like, how can you have, do all these plagues on Pharaoh and the Egyptians and whatever, and then do all these things, part the Red Sea, and then they still question you. They still don't believe in you. How is that even real? Because I had my first encounter with you, Jesus, and it scared me straight. Like I dropped, man, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, everything cold turkey. I didn't even want it because of the fear of, he's God and he's not playing with me and stuff. And but he normally don't deal with people on that level, but he did. He had to with me, or I'd be in hell right now because I was actively killing myself. So, anyways, when I asked him that, he showed me, and he said the demons that had them enslaved and had worked on them and had all these doors opening them to Satan, the demons and Pharaoh and all them, when Pharaoh went to go chase them, okay, and God dropped the water down on them and killed them, they died, but the demons didn't. So the demons that had them enslaved came up out the water and then pursued them. And so they were good at first, but then all the same demons they had wrestled with before that they hadn't shut the door to, because they had 1 foot in Egypt and 1 foot over here. You can't have 1 foot wanting that life and 1 foot over here with the Lord, because then you're subjecting yourself to extreme demonic attack, in which if you're not strong in the Lord, a lot of people fold and they run back. Okay. So this is what happened to them. The same demons came up and pursued them to enslave them and to keep them in those bondages. And that's why a lot of people ended up running back, dying and stuff. And this is why the Lord had so much mercy on them, because of he knew the level of demon powers they were under, what they were dealing with. And he got upset and stuff, but then there was an intercessor. And so when Jesus came down and experienced everything that we go through, it kind of like made, I'm not going to get into all that. So I keep wanting to jump down rabbit holes, but anyways, so yeah, so there's that. And that's the level of deception. So, I'm going to get into the witchcraft thing now. So pretty much when I was serving Satan, when I say serving Satan, I was living a life of sin. Okay. I was drinking, doing pills. I was worldly. I was super worldly. Just, I was in an abusive relationship, crazy stuff. Okay. And, anyway, so during this time we had a lot of demonic activity that started happening in the house. And I had started taking care of this quadriplegic man. He was like a gangster in the street, sold drugs, did whatever. He got into a car wreck and he's quadriplegic now. So anyways, he ended up coming to our house for like a month and a half. And I was having to take care of him. And so he literally couldn't even get up out the bed by himself. And he was talking about stuff was grabbing his feet in there in the middle of the night, would snatch his foot and, different stuff. So I had a digital camera, and I went to go take pictures in the room. And when I did, we saw all these green orbs stuff all in the room. And then in the window of the room, okay, I saw it was a demon face and like a ghost house. And when I say ghost house, in the background, and the demon face, it wasn't like this, well, you got to look in it. And maybe it was very prominent. It was like you're looking at me right now. You can see my nose. You can see my eyes. I'm talking about this thing was solid. And It had its mouth gaped open like it was screaming, and you could see all the wrinkles in its face. I didn't see no teeth. It's all of it was just blacked out inside its mouth. You could see the horns, you could see the ears. Um, its skin was gray, like you could see this thing. And so now I set my camera that night after we were all tripping out over the pictures or whatever. I set my camera out on my dresser. And when I set my camera on the dresser, um, like I woke up the next morning and this thing had brand new batteries in it. The batteries were totally drained. And I know that nobody messed with the camera because it was just me, my ex, quadriplegic. He couldn't get out of the bed. Okay. And my two kids. Now, at the time, I had like PTSD or something because the stuff I'd been through. And so if anyone came into the room or anything, I'm talking about they took one step towards me. Like they could go to the bathroom or anything, but if they took one step towards me, I would jump straight up and look straight at them. I just slept on edge like that. And so nobody came into the room, and the batteries were totally drained, and the picture of the demon was deleted. And so the demon went in there, drained, like deleted the pictures and had drained the batteries out of the camera or the picture. It still left the pictures of the orbs and stuff. And so that's what demons do. They don't want you to know that they're real. They don't want their networks exposed. They don't want you having evidence of them. So even during deliverance, like when I want to go cast demons out of somebody, or even out of myself during self-deliverance, they will speak very clearly to me in the spirit, but they don't want to speak out of the person's mouth. And even when they do speak out of the person's mouth, I can clearly see it's the demon, but other people, if it's someone else in the room, they can't discern it. Like they can't. And, so they definitely want to stay cloaked. And so anyways, after that, we were kind of like, okay, there's a demon in the house. Like, and it was multiple, but we didn't know that at the time. Like we just had proof of one demon in the house. It was in there with him and he was tripping out about it. And so anyways, like the next thing I know, these three women pull up. It was my ex's sister, and it was her two friends. And he was like, I don't know who those ladies are. He did, but he lied. Okay. And he acted like he didn't know nothing. He didn't know who they were, but he did. And it was a like head witch. And then it was a woman that she was training. Okay. That she was helping. And anyway, so when they had pulled up, they were out in the yard and they walked straight over to that window that the demon was in that room. And she looked, she said, there's a demon in that room. And she said, and it's trapped in there for some reason. I don't know why, but it's trapped in there. And then she had, the other woman had came up and she had started like cussing at it and stuff. And like when she called that demon out, not the woman that was cussing, but the head witch, literally that thing magnified itself. Like everyone in the yard could feel its presence. It had totally was like angry, magnified itself, was trying to put fear in everybody. And then that's when the other one had went over there and was just like cussing at it and whatever. And then the next thing I know, that woman that was in there cussing at the demon got picked up off her feet and thrown backwards on her back. And she was out cold. And everybody's just standing around. And I'm like, is nobody going to go like help her? Like she's just out on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go walk over there. When I want to go walk over there, she just kind of like shook it off and started getting up. And then everybody started acting like they was walking over there. I'm like, this is so weird. And so she had got up. She was like, said the F-bomb. I was like, I'm stronger than you and all that. And was just, saying all this crap. But the thing just threw her on her back. So anyways, the head witch, she looked at me and she was like, you saw it, didn't you? She was like, you got a picture of it. And I was like, oh, like, whoa, dude, like, how'd you know? Like, I didn't understand the whole witchcraft deception and stuff then. And so she was like, yeah, you saw it and it made this face. And then, like, she made the face, and it was really crazy because her face contorted, like, it looked just like the demon, like, in the picture, the demon deleted. And so I was like, what the crap? Like, kind of took me back for a second because the way she made the face that demon did, and it like looked like that. And so anyways, sorry, I just got distracted by the comments. Thank you, Lord Jesus. So anyways, then she looked at my kids. She said, your kids see things too. And she was like, they got gifts too. And she was like, but the spirits, they're demons. She was like, but the spirits tell them not to tell anyone what they're seeing and hearing and stuff and whatever. So I was like, okay, like, so my kids got gifts, cool, like, and the whole time I got in the back of my mind, my grandma, when she first became a Christian, she had a witch snare her into witchcraft. Well, she didn't really like get into the craft or nothing, but like she had got snared into the tarot cards because the witch was like, oh, look, it's got scriptures on it, so it's Christian. And it's not Christian. It's not Christian. Satan came to Jesus with scripture, okay? And pretty much opened her up to get attacked by a demon-possessed person, and it traumatized her so bad. Like, this person, like, levitated across the floor, like, got in her face and crazy stuff. And she literally, it traumatized her for years. And so I remember her telling me that, but these people were so nice, they were so convincing. I was like, well, maybe, and then I just like, considered it. So then the witch that was learning from the head witch, she was like, you need to put ash around your house. I was like, where do you get ash from? She was like, oh, like, I'm not going to tell that. Lord just instructed me not to. Okay. So anyways, and then she told me, and then she put like ash all around the windows and the house and all kinds of stuff. And then they was like, you need to use salt. You need to use salt. But they didn't tell me how to use salt. So I went there. I was like, I want no demons in my house. So I was like, boy, I started throwing salt all over my house, like all over the floors, everything. Like, I just throwed salt everywhere. And I was like, ain't nothing going to be in this house. And so I didn't know you were supposed to, she said you're supposed to do it a certain way, and do it another way to do something. And then she'll talking about how you could take your finger and draw a line and tell a demon not to cross it, and it can't cross that line. And that's what the head witch just started telling me things like this. And so I was like, okay. And anyway, so I ended up going to I was very intrigued by this stuff. So I went over to the head witch's house, and she has a son that is autistic. And anyways, sorry, I keep wanting to jump down rabbit holes and tell you guys stuff, but I'm not. I'm sticking to my testimony with this. So anyways, I went to the head witch's house, and her son's autistic, and she's got him all into witchcraft or whatever. And he just kind of like was looking at me strange, and she was like, what is it? Like, what do you see? Or was something like that. I can't remember. Somebody had questioned him why he was looking at me funny. And he was like, you got a golden aura around you. And it's weird. He said, 'cause I only see that around angels. And I was like, whoa, like they were totally making me think that I got like all these powers, and I was just like valuable, and like that they were just pumping me up with like, and the head witch was like, oh, well, you got even more gifts and more power than I do. And she was, like, she was like, you're like, you have a lot of power with this stuff. And so I was getting all pumped up about it. And then she wanted to read my tarot cards. And I told her, I was like, well, my grandma told me this and whatever about the tarot cards. And then she was like, no, like it is Christian. And like, and then, oh yeah, she also explained me the salt around my house was like, because we're the salt of the earth. And it's, God talks about it in the word and everything. And so that's, part of their deception as well. And when I did that, it just opened up more doors for more demons. But I didn't know this stuff at the time. So, but anyways, so she read me my tarot cards, and it was pretty like basic. I mean, pretty much everyone knows the demons watch you, or not everyone, I don't know, but the demons that sit and watch you, they can tell you stuff, especially if you're predictable, if you're in the same patterns and cycles with Satan, they can make educated guesses on what you're going to do in the future according to how they know that you are, because demons study you. And so when I engaged with this witch, it gave them demons permission to tell her things. She was like, oh, like I can't remember what she said, if I was going to get a job or something, like, but she had told me, like, so yes, something about, because I've been looking for a job at the time. And so she was like, yeah, like, you're going to get the job and all this other stuff. And I was like, woo, I was so excited. I was entertaining it and whatever. And then she, like, after I got my cards read, I was really excited about the stuff. So I walked outside, right? When I walked outside, because we had to walk to a football game, I walked outside and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and this is the demon power deception I was telling you about, how they can totally just warp your perception. Okay. Like, I literally saw it was not a demon within miles. Like, I had total peace. It was like not one demon nowhere around me. I looked up in the sky and I literally saw an open vision of Jesus sitting on the throne next to God. I'm telling you, it was solid, man. Like, it was just as solid as a coffee cup. Like, I saw Jesus sitting on the throne, or sitting on the right hand of God, and I couldn't see their faces. And it was right there in the sky, like an open vision. And so in my mind, I'm like, man, like, this is crazy, right? And so the reason why our peace is robbed, or we don't feel peace, because we're actively dealing with being attacked by demons. Okay. So we're under attack. And so when you burn the stage or you do something, you're actually opening a door for them, but Satan knows how to back away. These demons will back away. So you feel peace. You feel peace because the demon backed off. Right. And so you don't know that. All you know is, I feel peace and the demons are gone, and they're not gone. They literally just stepped away. So you feel peace. So you think you did something right to get peace. Like the tarot cards or burning sage or whatever. And the whole time I just swung the door right open to Satan. And I was like, whoa, dude, there's so much peace around. Like, it's not a demon nowhere. So anyways, I had went to I had, stuff start amplifying in my house demonically. And then I went to the witch that was her, like, understudying her or learning from her. I went to her house and she gave me a pendulum, and the crystal at the top of the pendulum was broke. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, she said, well, I can give you this pendulum. She said, but the crystal's broke. She said, so you could feel like a power surge through it. And I could. I felt a surge of power come from it. And of course, it was demonic, but I didn't know that at the time. And she showed me how to use it. And I would literally, talk to demons with her. I called them the spirits, but they were demons. I knew they were demons. But I could feel that they were, but I was like, no, they're the spirits or whatever. And so I would like talk to this pendulum and be like, okay, show me yes. And then the demons would swing it a certain way to show me yes. And I would say stop, and it would go boom. This is a stone on a swinging chain. And it would go boom, dead stop. And I'd be like, okay, now show me no. And then it would be like swing back and forth. It would do something to show me no. Then I would say stop, and it would go boom, and then it would stop. And then so they were, I was really communicating with these things. And I got bored, like I got bored with that really quick. You can only ask me yes or no questions. And it was like, I was like, okay, well, this is like kind of lame or whatever. And so I had, Anyway, so I got tired of that. So any like yes and no games and little eight balls, like all that stuff is like witchcraft. So y'all need to stay away from that. But anyways, then the head witch starts talking to me about summoning, like if you're angry or something, you summon that energy into like a rock. You can go find a rock and summon that anger into a rock and concentrate it, and it will go from you into the rock and stuff. So I started doing that. Didn't work for me. I was like, no, this is still here. Like I still feel trauma. I still feel anger, you know? And anyways, and then she was talking about commanding the weather and stuff. And so that did work when I was like, okay, and I started like commanding the wind and then it would work and stuff. And then it got to the point where it didn't work. And so the demons will only do like so much because they want you to go back to the witch and be like, well, why didn't this work? And she'd be like, oh, well, now you got to do this. So that way you're opening doors for more demons. So that way they then, and it's drawing you in to do more and more and more, to open yourself up more and more to Satan or whatever. I didn't do that though. I was like, I'm not digging into this. Okay. So, anyways, the demonic stuff was amplifying in my house. Me and my ex, we, every single morning, like our bedroom was right next to the living room. So every single morning we'd wake up and we would hear my middle daughter laying on the couch talking to herself. And we would laugh about it. Like, why is she always talking to herself every morning? We would like, like we thought it was funny. And so we had went into, well, I had got up that morning, went to the living room. I said, Charlie, who are you talking to? She said, a black goat with white eyeballs. And then showed me the height of it was maybe about 4 feet tall, and said that every morning it would come in there and talk to her and she would talk back to it. And I was like I realized like this isn't funny, and then and I told her I was like, you don't talk to stuff like that. And then my older daughter, she experienced this huge tall thing come into her room with like it was all black with a black cloak that was like misting out at the bottom of the cloak, and that thing would come into her room. And then she said this demon shark thing, like she was sitting playing in her room, and then she turned on and looked, and it was like thrashing out from under her bed with its mouth and stuff, and then it just it had disappeared. And so my kids start telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, okay. So I called the head witch up and I was like, look, like, when are you going to get this demon out of my house? Because my kids are going through stuff, like it's stuff going on. And she was like, oh, well, you got to get a dream catcher. And I was like, okay, are you give me a dream catcher? Like, how does, like, and then she explained how it catches the demons in the circle. It's supposed to project good energy out, or it's supposed to catch the evil and then project the good stuff out or something. And I was like, okay, so start. And then she was like, well, it, costs money, and then it just started turning into a money thing. So in my mind, I was like, well, if I got demonic stuff going on in my house and you got the power to get rid of it, then why is this turning into a money thing? Well, why can't you just help me and my kids and my ex and just come get the demon out of the house? And so I started like questioning stuff. And then at the time, even though I didn't know Jesus, he got me out of a lot of messes. Every time I communicated, well, I called him God at the time. I didn't know who was Jesus till he revealed himself to me. I used to be scared to pray to Jesus because I thought God's a jealous God. He would get mad if you taught Jesus. So I always called him God. That's how much I didn't know. Um, and I knew I could go to my Bible and God would talk to me and I would talk to him. But I didn't know God and I thought that I did that whole time because, all the experiences and stuff that I had. And then the day that I actually encountered uh, Jesus, um, he was like, you don't know me. And it's because he walked with me. He was faithful to be with me the whole time. Okay. But I didn't give my life to him. I didn't surrender my whole life to him. So there's no way that I realized once I started walking with him, I realized like, oh my gosh, I did not know you. A lot of people don't even know you. Like you have real feelings. You could really hurt his feelings. He's like a real person. And I did not know him. He walked with me. He was faithful to be with me. He would even talk to me. But because I did not separate myself from Satan to give him my life, there's no way I knew him. You could work with someone for 10 years, communicate with that person. They help you like anything, and you don't know that person. You don't know, like, you don't live with them, you don't know that person. And so that's real. So if you think you know Jesus, but you ain't gave your life to him, you don't know him. And he will say, I never knew you. So he's faithful to who he is, but I wasn't faithful to him. And so, anyways, I went to my Bible, and I knew I taught him through the word and stuff like that because of my grandma growing up whenever I was younger. And so, anyways, that's how the Lord had got started in my life then. But I didn't know nothing, I was little then. And so, and I always saw him with me, and I always saw his presence with me and everything. So I knew he was with me, and he helped me and got me out of a lot of messes and everything. But anyway, so when I went to I call him God then, instead of Jesus. But whenever I went to him, I was like, I open up my Bible. I'm like, this is crazy. Everything I was dealing with the whole demons and witchcraft stuff and whatever. And he said, why? And immediately he spoke to me, and he was like, why do you consult witches? They got spirits that peep and mutter instead of to the living God. Like, why are you going to them when you know my voice? Like, that's pretty much what he said to me. And I was like, yeah, like, so this is how plain as day he speaks to me through the word. This is how he wants to talk all of us through the word. Okay. And it's always going to be like repentance and with holiness and righteousness, stuff like that. So know that he's a holy God, not a worldly God. There's only one God. Anyways, when he said that, I was like, you're right. It's pretty dumb. And so I went to the head witch's house after that. And I didn't know at the time that I had power with God, with Jesus, for her to lose her familiar spirit, or to, wither that operation, or to, pray her into, repentance. Like, I didn't know none of this stuff. And so when I went to her door, she opened up the door, and she said, and her eyes got big, because immediately either she could see the spirit, her demon told her I'd been with God, like I'd been with Jesus. And I didn't know this stuff. Like, she said, you don't believe you have gifts, do you? And I was like, yes, I do. Read my tarot cards to me. I was like, I do. I believe. I'm a believer. Okay. So she like let me in, and she was like side eyeing me and stuff. And then she was like, she didn't want to lay them cards out. And so, when she laid them cards out, and Lord just showed me just now I had angels with me and stuff then, and she could see that stuff. Like, she could see that I had angels with me, and it put her in fear, because she's serving demons and stuff. And she was like, read me my old tarot cards. Of course, it was wrong again. And it was just some crap prediction. And she pretty much was not really trying. She wasn't really digging my company. So I left. And after that, I would go to her house. And whenever I would go to her house, she wouldn't open up the door to me anymore. And her car would be sitting in front of her apartment. So I was like, why is she not opening the door to me? I know that she's here. And she literally would not open the door to me no more. And so I went over to the lady, the witch that was kind of like learning from her. And I went over there, and then I was like, can you tell me if I'm pregnant? Because at the time, I was with my ex for like 5 years, and we were trying to have a baby. I was praying against it low key though. Like, I was like, Lord, I said, shut my womb down, wither it, shut that mess down. I do not want no kids with this man. And so, but I was praying against it. He didn't know that. And because I did not want to be trapped on him. And, the Lord was faithful and kept me from getting pregnant. But anyways, I was like, ask the spirits if I'm pregnant. And so, and think about it too. I'm sitting there praying to God, about this stuff out loud. And the demons didn't know what I was praying to God. FY. So anyways, like, they didn't know, because they would have told the witch, like, or said something. So, or they wouldn't have made themselves look dumb. And so she she gets her pendulum out. She's talking to the demons, and then she's like, "Oh, is Sky pregnant?" It's like, "Yes, yes, she's pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, for real?" And then, like, so she wanted to go ask him again. I said, "Ask him again." And then, "Yes, yes, she's pregnant." So, and everybody's all getting excited at the table and stuff. And then I was like, "Oh, that's so exciting!" And I'm like being fake or whatever. And then I was like, "Ask it one more time." And so she asked the spirit speak through the pendulum. I was like, "Is she pregnant?" And I was like, "Yes, yes." And I was like, "Wow, so I'm pregnant." And I was not pregnant. Okay. And then I was kind of like, this is like pretty dumb, you know? So um, I came back home and I just like repented of it. Like I didn't understand how to get rid of the demons from it. I was still very demon possessed from what had entered into me uh, through that and stuff. I was still doing pills and everything and drinking and whatever. And uh, they, I pretty much like, I just walked away from it. Like I just walked away from it. Like it was dumb and I didn't entertain it no more. And I just, you know, after that point, I'm gonna tell you guys this real quick. So this is a pretty cool, like powerful testimony. After that point, I had, you know, started talking to my kids about God and stuff and reading the word with them. And I walked up, you know, the driveway and stuff and would show them flowers and stuff that God had made and everything. And I had um stopped by this black woman's house, and she was an older black lady, and her husband was there. And now this is a pretty cool testimony, so listen to the whole thing, and then I'm gonna get off of here so I'm not dragging this out. So anyways, I had met her. She was an older woman. And then I was like, "Can I show my kids your flowers? Because I'm talking about God." And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Honey, you can come sit up here with me anytime and come talk and stuff and come talk with, you know, and just come sit with me sometime." I was like, "Okay, that sounds great." And I was like willing to do anything to get out the house from where I was at, away from the guy I was with and stuff, because he wouldn't let me hang out with nobody. Like I literally fell off the face of the planet when I was in that relationship. So, anyways, I started going to her house and hanging out with her, and she ended up literally, like, even to this day, she's in heaven now. But that is one of my mothers that the Lord put in my life. So that's my black mama, and me and her is like this. So, and then I called her husband Daddy. She's mama, he's Daddy, and so anyways, we go up there and I'd read the word to her. We'd spend time. We'd always talk about Lord. She would tell me how she went to heaven and hell. And like, she would just like she was really anointed or whatever. And so I loved spending time with her and bringing my kids up there. And she was literally just like my kids' grandma and stuff. And so, that's my family right there. But anyways, one day I went up there and she was sick. And this is when Jesus had showed me that demons are what make you sick. This is why people get sick. And I'll go into all that later, and explain all that stuff. So, at least what the Lord has shown me with that. But, anyways, and remember, I'm not serving God at this time, okay? But his presence is with me. I had received him when I was younger, and this is how, but I never gave my life to him. So, anyways, but he was faithful to walk with me and to be who he is. So one day I came up there, she wasn't feeling good, and Daddy came to the door. He was like, "Oh, she ain't feeling good today, so she ain't having company." I said, "Tell her I want to see her." I said, "Tell her to come see me." And he was like, "I'm telling you, she's not feeling good." I said, "Well, I can't. Can I come see her?" And he was like kind of irritated about it because he didn't want to let me in because she wasn't feeling good. So she's laying in the bed. Now, this is a strong woman. So if she's laying in the bed, that means she really wasn't feeling good. So I went back there. I laid in the bed next to her. I said, "Mama, get up and spend time with me." She said, "I can't do it today, baby. I can't do it." She was like, "Because I'm not feeling good." So I was laying there and I was like, well, I was, you know, sad that she wasn't feeling good. And then, and I was actually, had took like, I think 7 triple C's that day. And so at the time I took so many that wasn't really doing anything to me, but it was enough where I was high enough where, I could see into the spirit some or whatever. And where I was opened up to it illegally. The I kind of like had the door open a little bit. And so I didn't know that though at the time, but that was all that I had at the time. And I got high off of it a little bit. And so I was laying there with her. And then the next thing I know, I see this black demon, and it was laying like she's on her side like this facing me. And this black demon was laid on the side of her body like a blanket. But it was like this. It was like, had its arms straight like this and had its face and was face down into the side of her body. Oh, excuse me, sorry. And on top of that demon, with its face, imagine if you're facing the same direction with your arms straight like this, and someone's standing in line behind you. There was a green demon that looked like phlegm, like from your nose. And okay, and I could see it was like sickness. Wait, the green one, sorry, it has been a minute since this happened. The green one was laid over her body, melted over her body. That was what was making her sick. And the black one, and they were both face down with their arms straight out, sandwiched on top of each other. And I immediately knew that green flame looking demon that was laying over her body was making her sick, and that black one was there. So if you came against that one, the black one was set up to resist you. If you tried to come against that, you'd have to get through that black demon first. And I just felt the Lord just rise up in me, and I was like, you get off of her in the name of Jesus. And then I was like, she's my mama and you can't have her. And I just went ham. And then immediately the green one had dissipated, black one wasn't good, went and stood across the room. Like it was just in shock or something. It went and stood across the room. As soon as they got off of her, she wasn't sick no more, instantly. And so she stood up. Well, she sat up on the bed immediately, and she already knew what I was doing because I told you she was anointed. She's been to heaven and hell. She already knew what was going on, but I didn't. I just did what I was just led to do. And then I turned around, I went across, and I had to go from room to room. I was like, you get out of there. And I looked at her and I said, stand up and walk with me. And she stood up and she walked with me. And then we went from room to room to room and went and sat on the front porch. And she got on the porch with me. So she went and she sat on the front porch, and she wasn't feeling sick no more. And then Daddy came out the front door, and then he was like, a miracle happened in this house today. And I saw that demon, and when it stood across the yard and it looked at me like, oh, I'll be back for you. Because I had all these doors open to Satan. And it kind of like scared me for a second because I was like, oh, I don't know. So anyways, I want to go walk out in the yard, and then this freak rain came out of nowhere, and like it just showered and stuff. And I turned around, and then like I looked at her, and then immediately the sky had cleared up and the rain had went away. And then I just walked back on the porch, and I was like, the Lord was just with me like on an insane level. Okay. And I was like, and it wigged her out, and it wigged my black daddy out, and he's like, a miracle happened in this house today. And I said, did you see that with the rain and everything, and the wind and the weather and what's going on? And then she was like, yeah, she said, and she would always say, it feels something like that. It ain't no words to explain it. It just ain't no words to explain it. And so whenever that happened, I was kind of like, what just happened? So I mean, I really, it's stuff like this that like happen in my life. The Lord even did things through me to help people, but it was like I didn't know him. So when he showed me that I didn't know him, he said, I knew you in the desert, right? So he told me that, which I don't understand all that actually, but he said that I did not know him. And but anyways, I don't know what he was talking about then whenever he said that. And I didn't go into it to ask him, because during that time when Jesus said something to me, like I didn't question it. I just was like, okay. And I just went forward because I was so afraid. I had the fear of God in me, of how he had to scare me straight. But anyways, he didn't he knew me in the desert. So he knew that wicked person, but he didn't know me. Like, because remember, he said in his word, there's people at school come stand before me. And they're going to say, I cast demons out in your name. I prophesied in your name. I did all these things in your name. But he'll say, depart from me. I never knew you. And so, kind of like Jesus knows who Satan is, Jesus knows who the demons are, right? But Satan isn't who God created it to be in the first place. And so he knew me, that he knew that wicked person and stuff, but he didn't, like, if I would have stood before him, he would have been like, depart from me, I never knew you, because I never gave my life to him. I never allowed him to recreate me to be that person that I was born, that he originally designed me to be, because Satan had infiltrated my life through my environments, my family, everything, to totally alter me and open me up to demons and everything like that, where I was totally, then through school and everything, where everything entered in, changed my nature and all that crap, or put a fake one in me. Um, and so, anyways, yeah. So I went through all that stuff and didn't even I would have went to hell. I would have stood before Jesus, and he would have said, "Depart from me. I never knew you." And so you have to give your life to him, and you can't have one foot over here, one foot over here. You have to have your whole heart. Like, I'm going to serve him with my life. And that's when you're going to get to know him. And the more you separate yourself from the world and the things of the world, even if you don't think it's demonic, if it's not, if is it Jesus? Is it of God? And if it's not, you need to separate yourself from it. And he will do the severing. The Holy Spirit will sever you from the world through obedience. This is when you'll get all the experiences and whatever. And when the more he separated me, the more I was obedient in repentance and stuff like that, the closer his presence actually got to me, to the point where, I could, probably, like, I had a toothache, and I was like, I woke up and I had a toothache so bad, and Jesus was right there in my face. It was like he was like watching me sleep, like his presence was just like so close to me. And then I woke up, and then I was like, please, will you please take his tooth pain away? And then boom, he took it away and gave, like, instantly, and gave me so much peace. I like knocked right back out and didn't even have an issue with that tooth for like 2 years. Okay. And the only reason why I did is, like, he had led me into, like, start showing me different things like healing, and I still had doors open to say, I mean, so he had cleaned me up so much, to the point where, after I got saved and he scared me straight, that I was like, I'm totally delivered. I ain't got no demons, which he showed me a dream. He had totally delivered me from the demons. Then he showed me that I was so broken. I had so many wounds and hurts. All those are doorways for everything to come right back in. And so I never ran back to that life or nothing, but I ended up falling and cussing. I ended up falling. But I had to get pressed so hard for this stuff to come out of me. Like, look how hard Joe got pressed, because Satan had to be able to press him on that level and destroy everything in his life to push him to see if he would let a demon in. And he did not. And so I literally, for the past 3 years, went through, literally now, the past 3 years, went through my Job trial, and it was hard. And I'm talking about, and the Lord's pulling me out of it now, but I'm talking about, I cussed. I had got violent with a situation. And I got pressed on them levels, and this stuff came out, and I'm like, Lord, am I even Christian? Like, why would this even come out of me? And then he showed me, because I still had roots in me, where when I didn't know how to react, when I didn't feel him near, when I had so much trauma and stress from what I was going through mentally and stuff like that, and emotionally, that I reverted back to what I knew from the world. And so that was still in me. So once that was revealed, I'm like, okay, so it took that much to press it out of me. Like, I ain't even gonna go into what it was, what I was dealing with privately with stuff. But anyways, it, like, I know, like, so like, this is doorways that I have to clean up with Satan. And so that I have to clean that not with the Lord to get that out of my life. So anyways, know that as a Christian, you will get pressed and tried on the level that you're capable of handling, that the Lord knows that you can handle, just to see if there's anything in there, just to see if you would break. And you get stronger through that. And so the Lord showed me that we will get pressed and tried on hard levels, just to see if there is sin in your life and stuff like that. And so if something is revealed, don't let it discourage you. Don't let it make you feel like you're not Christian or that you don't love Jesus. It just means you got pushed until you fell or until you broke, and then you let something in. And so Jesus wants to mature us. So even when we are pushed on these levels, we don't break and we don't let stuff in. And so understand this is a journey, this is a process. It took a lot to break the God nature out of you, or to allow so many demons in to corrupt it and destroy it and stuff like that. And it's going to take you walking with Jesus and getting cleaned up and pushing, try through situations to mature and grow and get strong. And it's hard as crap when you go through these trials and stuff sometimes, but the Lord brings you through every single time. And you're building a ministry through it. And the Lord's building your ministry through it, and He's strengthening you and He's preparing you. So when you do face these things that Satan try to hit you with, it won't break you. You might fall, but a righteous man falls 7 times and get right back up. And so it takes a strong, powerful warrior, what a human being is, to walk with God and to overcome. And it's really Jesus. He helps us the whole way. So even when you think He's left you sometimes, or even when you think, why am I going through this and stuff? And He hasn't left you. He hasn't left you. He's allowing so much to happen. And He's not the one doing it. He's using what Satan already has, what Satan thinks that it's doing to your life. um, and through his workers and whatever, to push you and try you. And then when it's time, the Lord pull you right back out. Just keep building, just keep building, just keep building you. So anyways, I want you guys to know that. But hey, good morning. But I wanted you guys to hear all this stuff, understand these demon powers, the deception they can have over you, understanding what really knowing the Lord is, how you can discern if you really know Him, if you're really actually walking with Him, stuff like that. And to not be discouraged if you've found worldliness or sinfulness in your life, and definitely don't be comfortable with it or in agreement with it, and come against it. You know. So anyways, y'all have a blessed day, and thanks for listening.